What are the steps of bringing the next big product to the market? Today we are speaking to an entrepreneur who's had a very interesting career. Her name is Terry Seal. Over her career, she has launched hundreds of products. And today she's going to share with us what she has learned. I'm James Martin, and this is Entrepreneur Conversations. Terry, you haven't come all the way from USA today. You actually come from Shoreditch.
Correct.
What is going on? Because you're when we've had a pre-chat with you, you were telling us that your real special subject is finding products and getting them from sort of hatchlings into proper brands. So how does that work? How does that all happen?
Yes. So of course, it always depends a bit on the product and what it is you're looking to develop, to regulated industry or not. But it's always about how do we develop a product, so-called MVP, minimum viable product, so something that we can get in front of consumers as quickly as possible, and iterating from there in terms of just as short as possible.
But you've been involved. You were telling me from sorting out dairy products to go on to TVs, sort of concepts for chefs to use on television, to doing what your partner is based in Germany, and you moved out to Germany to work on. I mean, you were getting proper wine into Michelin star restaurants, weren't you?
Yes, I was. It was extremely exciting. We were just chatting before, Austrian wines, German wines. We were really on the early side of dry German Riesling being every sommelier's favorite. And we're really riding that wave in terms of spotting that opportunity quite early and bringing it in. Although it's still probably a pretty small niche market.
I was going to say, it's the quantities of wine that they don't produce,
exactly,
isn't it?
Yeah. So it's much more like tighter and as climate change.
That's why I was just breaking it, Ollie. I never understand, how do you get that much champagne out of champagne? It can't be right, can it? It must be coming in from outside.
Or like expand the DOC
that's
if you can.
Sort of under the tunnels
that
or whatever.
That sometimes happens, yes.
But it's very exciting because you've got a product that you're doing here in London, and you're working with a group there. This is, have I got this right? It is 1N.
Correct.
Is the company. This is a nicotine-based product, and you're going to tell us a bit more about that. I want you to go into more detail. But you're saying that in the next sort of 2 to 3 years, this could be sort of £2 to £5 million turnover business. Now, that's got my attention, and that will get the attention of our listeners and viewers. How does that work? Explain that to us.
So in terms of this opportunity that we're looking at, we are investing in a part of crafting this future of better products. So no vaping, no smoking, trying to bring better, more intentionally crafted products to this market. Through our consumer testing, it was, you're always kind of pinching yourself of like, is this too good to be true? But whether it was running mass surveys with thousands of consumers or small groups of people, in a hotel in Shoreditch in a conference room testing our products, it was just resounding that people were eager for something new in this space. And
explain, Terry, what exactly is the product? Do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're low strength oral nicotine products with intentionally selected ingredients, and that means...
So is this like these big pouches that you suck in your tooth?
No, it's similar to just like, it's not candy, but a lozenge like that you would take either for your throat or, just a pastel that you would take. And they're meant to be consumed similar to a pouch in that you need it to rest on your gums for, around 10 minutes to allow for proper absorption, but fully dissolvable.
And you were saying to me on the pre-chat that you're working here in London doing this, but you've got suppliers and partners that you're working with that are doing the product R&D with you to get the branding and to get to the recipe and whatever you've got to do with that. But you can see that there are markets that have taken this product, and that's the big exciting bit, isn't it?
It is.
That's the bit that gets you sort of up in the morning to say, look, if we could get this right and get our audience right in this new sector, new country, that you can see that there is big explosion for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this idea really originated from all of the activity in the US market, which is that big egg. They're looking at over 350 million consumers there. a massive market and growing for oral nicotine. I'm sure a lot of people might know the brand Zyn, which you're seeing everywhere, that is growing in the double digits year after year. So there's massive potential and really a very, educated, let's say, consumer base into nicotine, why they're using it, and like actively seeking for different products.
And have you got on your research, is there a dynamic on age group? Is this a Gen Z thing? Is it a millennium? Who's the user?
Great question. So it's actually, it's definitely not targeted at Gen Z. Oftentimes, people who come to, again, this brand was inspired a bit from the world of biohacking, which is folks really looking to improve different aspects of themselves, whether that's health, performance, could be as simple as trying to, quote unquote, hack your sleep. Right. And, a lot of times those people are a bit older. I'm 42. I got into biohacking, I would say, around when I was 37. That's a bit of a different, journey. But it's like, hey, my brain isn't quite firing like when I was 27. So it's actually a lot of people who are a bit, of an older demographic who are in that peak performance year, either, kind of early 30s or, 40s and beyond, looking to, kind of have their own personal, what's called a stack.
The biohack thing is interesting because I don't know much about it, but I can feel it. It's coming towards me with the social media, and it's popped up a few times.
Okay.
I've just gone and had a load of bloods taken, and that is to do testosterone and to do vitamins intravenous. Now, the doctor's just done it all for me. I'm doing it privately, and I've been away, but I'm going to go and get those results, and they will make this cocktail up for me.
Yeah.
And that I'm very interested in, because when you read the stats on what's going on with from libido to what testosterone does for you, for your mindset and everything else, it definitely diminishes, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And, women going through perimenopause, menopause, it's, can be testosterone, but also importantly could be estrogen or estradiol that you're low in. Everyone, has that different cocktail and trying to get you back to that state. So I'm glad to hear you're getting tested, because it's so important.
But it is, Terry, it's very important, don't you think?
Really.
And I think it's getting a lot more traffic to be something that people are genuinely interested in. We all need to be fitter and live longer. That's just what we need to do.
Exactly.
So if there is space in there for the entrepreneur to go and take a few dollars, then you're right there. So tell us and tell us all, what do you think the nicotine advantage has over the other two things that you were saying, from smoking to vaping? I just can't work out vaping. It looks like poison to me, but I don't know. You what do you know?
Yes, definitely. Smoking and vaping have their disadvantages. Clearly smoking, you're unleashing all of the downsides of combustion. Vaping kind of has a very strong, Moorish quality to it, let's say. And that it's very easy to just kind of mindlessly vape away. Whereas some of the oral nicotine, it's there, it has to fully dissolve. You can't really speed up this process. But we are seeing, when you look at the data coming out of the Nordics, when you look at the cancer rates, it's a very low, nearly zero in terms of the amount of people who are combusting in that market. And, oral nicotine is kind of, very prominent. And when you look again at the cancer statistics, there's not a correlating rise there with cancer rates. So you are seeing, from a public health perspective, that oral nicotine does have a lower risk profile. Of course, not without any risk. It is still addictive. There are, downsides to consuming anything.
And Terry, is it still heavily, is it something else that will be taxed by the government? Is nicotine something that gets taxed?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Yes.
And heavily? How does that work?
Just like any other, kind of nicotine product. So cigarettes are taxed the highest, right? Because that's the highest impact to health, and the thing that all the governments across the world, most of them at least, want to avoid and get consumers off of that journey. And we're actually a bit in a bit of a gray area right now in terms of regulation. So I know that there will be more guidance and regulation even of oral nicotine products, because the government see that that's kind of the future, and they're pushing for a smoke-free future.
I listened to an article. And this was interesting, producer Oliver. They had there are more people smoking globally than ever there was before. The UK and Europe have been suppressed down. America, India, China, Russia, everybody's smoking, and it's not being regulated like we do in organised, governments. But it was very interesting. They said sales have never been better, and the tobacco companies have obviously gone to these countries to sell their wares. What do you think that the product has advantages then? If you're saying that it definitely have advantages on the health, is it a stimulant? Is it a suppressant? What does that actually do for the person?
Nicotine is, in terms of a molecule, it's what we say volume up and volume down. So it is a stimulant, but it can also be a relaxant, right? A lot of people say, they turn to it for stress or after a hectic meeting. So it is quite an interesting molecule in that sense that it has, the potential to do both, and it really depends a little bit on your own physiology, kind of how you're going into using it. But yes, has very well documented and studied stimulatory effects.
They talk about so many different natural products now. They're talking about lion's mane and stuff like this for concentration, for ADHD, and I've got. Obviously, being in entrepreneurship, everybody's ADHD or neurodiverse in some way. But it just is interesting that any of these real hacks, and that's how I see it, to get through the day steadier and calmer and clearer, or relax after or whatever, all of that can definitely help the entrepreneur community, because they're not 9 to 5. The days are huge and long. So it's very interesting. I want to take you back a bit. What was... You spoke briefly about your father, and your father was a product guy. So give us a little bit about Dad. What was that all about?
Yes. So my father is from the automotive retail industry.
Okay.
So really started actually during his high school days working behind the counter selling parts. So these, I don't know if there's an equivalent to here in the UK, but in the US, there's these aftermarket retail shops that sell everything from, the air fresheners and tires to, all the parts.
Auto parts or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was, his world. And, even going on holiday, I remember we were in Hawaii on the Big Island, and we had to stop and do store checks.
So
and
my mom, check it out.
My mom was sitting there like, oh my goodness, okay. But, it was an independent version of whatever store, and he had to go in there,
Do you think, Terry, that sort of started something in you way back then?
Yes, for sure. I mean, it planted the seed, and I always, had that kind of, inspiration a bit. I was always curious about my dad's work, looking at like, what is this P&L thing, or asking, and my dad had a very strong view on trying to involve the family as much as possible, and that we would get invited to dinners or sporting events, and kind of, it's the brand, some tire company trying to schmooze you, and having kind of contact and seeing how that all worked was always.
And how was school? What was school like? Were you a good student? Did you like school?
Yes, actually, I did like school, but, I did have the typical, strict parents of bring home good grades. Otherwise, there's kind of...
trouble.
So, I always did pretty well in school, but it took a lot of hard work. I was also a student athlete, so I competed as a rower. I know it's a popular sport here. So I always had that, kind of internal drive to just kind of keep... pushing myself.
Competition and
and I get bored easily, so I'm like, ooh, I need things that keep me
and then
engaged.
Follow the storyline along then, Terry. How do you get from finishing up at school to getting into producing dairy products? Because I find this fascinating. How did that work?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of serendipitous, really, and I guess, connections. So I was graduating right during the financial crisis, so 2008 in the US. I was actually, getting recruited in the financial direction. Wasn't anything I was super excited about, but I did have an offer on the table to work at Bank of America. And then through my dad's network, I got in touch with this company that develops private label products for retailers.
Okay.
And they gave me an offer for this management development program, like a 1-year thing. You do these rotations, and you're kind of like promoted in that company in the special management program. And so I, dove into that. It just kind of happened, the right place, the right time. And I'm so glad, I did that in hindsight, because being in the grocery retail industry in a recession was, much safer place.
Much safer place to be.
And and also found out, I was like, this is actually pretty cool. I mean, sure, I started out as, doing crunching data and doing lots of slides, but I was also getting to join to factory tours and seeing, seeing how the bacon is made, as they say.
I think that the interesting thing that you said there that I like is that, you could have gone on this trajectory where the college or whatever were helping you find a job, but you actually found the job through your network, through your father, and it kind of is who you know, isn't it? With this pathway sometimes, and even when we have people come here, they kind of come from a friend or someone tells us about somebody. But what really happens as well is when they come and they end up not necessarily in front of me, but my managing directors do lots of the interviewing now for new staff. We want to know your experiences. And what you're telling us there is you were getting a wealth of experience in a very different sector that did stand you instead, because it brought you forward again. That you then moved on to other products from what you were doing there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is it like? Is it you mentioned, we're jumping around a bit here, but we mentioned Shoreditch. The last time I was in Shoreditch was at a stag do with my nephew. It was so hip and groovy. He had to come up to me and say, "Listen, Uncle Jamie, you'll be fine." He said, "It'll be fine." He said, "A lot of the people are a bit hip and groovy." And it was just the best night I ever had. I loved it. Shoreditch is very cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, very cool
It
place.
really reminds me a bit of Brooklyn. I hate to always compare it, boil it down to that, but what Brooklyn was maybe 10 years ago. I feel that. I know like the gentrification is expanding, but it's definitely a hot area. And even just in this last year, we've been traveling there. The whole biohacking trend, like I started with, maybe there was some drip IV thing, and now there's a mental gym. There's, there's red light. There's this. There's that.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that on geographical of areas, especially around London, if you went back to the Docklands back in the day when the docks had finished, the students and the artists went in there, and they became squats, and and all of a sudden they built that up to become this hip place, and then that hip place got took over by the developers, and the developers moved in, and then they all had to go and find another place to make hip and groovy. Well, if you went to Shoreditch in my day 30 years ago, it was a dump. I mean, it really was a slum. And it's only that what happens is that, I think the community of inventive and artistic people go into a particular area and then create it into something that becomes very trendy and very want to be attached to, but it ends up getting very, very expensive, and it curves up again.
Too good for their own good.
That's it. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know about Baddow Park Mastermind. I have created a mastermind for high-level entrepreneurs. There's only 16 spaces, and we've only got a few left. If you often find you're the biggest fish in the pond at other masterminds, click the link in the pod description, because this might be just for you. Now, back to the pod. So when you were working there, and where was this then, Terry, in America? Where were you actually working?
So it was based in Stamford, Connecticut, which is about, a lot of people reverse commute out of the city. And being in my early 20s, I was there living with 2 other roommates in Manhattan and doing the commute out to Connecticut.
And then back then, what was there the want to do something yourself, or were you quite happy in the culture of the company you're working for? Explain that. How did you get from sort of being sort of organised within a team and a company to doing your own stuff? How did that work?
Great question. So it's twofold. One, actually, this company was employee owned, so it had a ESOP program, which is quite unique and gave us all this edge of being owners. So it kind of was from top to bottom. I mean, sometimes it was a little bit too much in terms of like the cost saving measures, you know,
Right.
sharing hotel rooms at times, because again, we were all like shepherding and stewarding this company together.
Yeah.
And the founder of it, he felt very strongly about wanting people to own it. I would have to say at the time, my early 20s, I kind of undervalued that opportunity to be such an owner. But some of my colleagues I started with are still in the company 20, almost 30 years later. So there's
Really?
so many people who are there multiple decades. So
Okay.
it was a very strong culture, also, you know, very much influenced by the grocery industry, which is a tough industry. I mean, some people expect you to start 6, 7 a.m. the second the store's open, the corporate office
Yeah.
needs to be there too. So there's that. And then the other side of just, I was working with very large retailers and a bit buttoned up. You know, one of my clients, to go on site, you had to wear a very strict palette, you know, a suit, either navy or black, and white button-up shirt. That's it. You cannot step foot in that building and anything else. So, you know, it's a very corporate environment at times. And so I kind of found myself like, you know, desiring to do something else. And that led me to start my master's program. And it was through that program that there was just, you know, on the list serve, there's posts for everything, to be an intern to work at a food magazine, to the post I saw, which was, a Food Network's star was looking to launch his own business and was looking for someone to help create the products. And I was like, oh, I can do that. And so I, responded to this. And the first product we developed was actually this varietal hot sauce from, very specific chilies, rare chilies in Virginia. And, then it took off from there. And the CEO at the time, Seth, who's actually still one of my mentors, he, amazing career for himself. He's accredited with helping Bloomberg win one of his mayoral races. So he kind of spotted me as like someone who could step into the business, and eventually, like 1 year later, ended up taking it over.
I want to talk to you about something that I've just read a podcast on. Ollie, bear with me on the cut here, because I just listened to this, and if you haven't listened to it, Terry, you would love this off of air. This is Acquired. Do you listen to Acquired?
No, I haven't.
Right, so Acquired, and this is Trader Joe's.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
now,
what a good retailer.
Terry, Trader Joe's. Explain Trader. I've just listened to that on Acquired.
Yes.
And please go and listen to it. And anybody else, go and listen to Acquired Trader Joe's. He cut a different avenue, didn't he, to do what he was doing. I mean, these in-house brands. I mean, I think it's something like 90% is in-house.
At least.
And he did this thing with wine, $2 wine or $2 chuck.
Chuck. Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, it was very clever what he did. And the shelves, the aisles are a bit tight and everything's stacked high, isn't it? And it just becomes, it's it's not for the daily shop. It's really just to get... I think his dynamic that he did about it was he was working out that he put it near big universities and colleges, and for the over 60s, because they bought, it was booze as well that he was into selling the same booze, but it was a phenomenal business. They've done it. And the only reason I bring it up is because it's all things consumable off the shelf.
It is, and private brand.
And private
fits
brand.
Perfectly. Yeah, Trader Joe's was always that, the Holy Grail account. We didn't get to work with them because they're very secretive.
Yes, they were.
About everything they do.
Well, making the episode, there's a bit where they talk about how they made the episode. Very difficult.
Yes.
Very difficult to interview anybody about it and stuff like that.
It's how they roll, yeah.
And do you know who owns Trader Joe's now?
I don't, actually.
It's Aldi.
Oh, right, yes, of course, the German discount.
Aldi bought it. Yeah. But there was strict restrictions that he took the money for it, and he stayed in for another 10 years, the actual guy himself. But Aldi still own it now.
Yeah.
And I think he's deceased. Oh, I don't know.
Probably.
We'll have to find out. I don't know.
I know that's the whole German retail thing.
But they are this, stack it high and sort of buy it and reasonable stuff. But it was very interesting, and it fits with what your journey is there. So I asked you this question because I was just being rude. So how did you get from the USA to Germany? But you end up with a partner that was German.
Yes, exactly.
And then you just did the follow and across.
Yes, I was just winding down with the wine business. and yeah, through personal reasons, it was just the right time to kind of jump over and take that risk. And is your partner
in retail?
No, actually in banking.
In banking, okay.
Yeah, and the boring, unsexy bit of like compliance and all of that stuff. So,
and you know, is he supportive of you and stuff like that? It's very different worlds.
I'm on a different partner now, you know.
Oh, I see. Well, there you go. No, that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah,
but you're.
He was very supportive. Yeah. Both my partners.
We can cut all that. But so you end up over in Germany, and then tell us what was the thing in your head then when you got to Germany? You needed employment.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you do?
You know, after a few months of some freaking out, I would say, of like what direction, because you know, on the positive side, I had a little bit of time to really just take it slow and kind of
And you speak German?
I do, yes.
Okay, well done.
Thanks, yeah. Although it's not, you know, living day to day with a German partner makes a difference, but so I love that challenge. But so a little bit of soul searching and applying, of course, of just like kind of some jobs that I thought like, you know, my industry and could be a fit. And kind of very quickly landed in this lane of, you know, I could hustle up some work, if you will, on the sommelier side. Okay. You know, kind of helping to seed an importer, like some natural. I was pretty early on the natural wine curve, so selling a bit there, working some in a wine shop, and kind of made some friends in the startup scene in Munich. And one of my friends, she dragged me to this startup weekend, and I was just participating, having fun, and pitched an idea for a wine matching algorithm.
Right.
And we ended up like second place coming out of that weekend. So I had a team, you know, you have to like recruit people who are like interested enough in that idea to like lose sleep for 48 hours and to run around a city getting consumer interviews and all of that. And, you know, kind of found myself on this, like, you know, day to day doing a little bit of sommelier work, selling a little bit of wine, working in the shop, and then working on this idea, and was able to, you know, bring that to market. I found partners in Dusseldorf, actually through my partner had in his network some people who were working on, you know, matching algorithms. They had big corporate clients, helping them kind of digitize and improve these massive corporate catalogs. You know, you're trying to buy something, you know, super unsexy like an adhesive, and making that process better. And we used that same technology to create this wine matching platform. But, you know, classic idea.
And you were saying that you stopped doing it because you kind of hatched it ahead of its time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. So, I mean, you know, after about 18 months, around 2 years, you know, we got it, you know, I got partners to help build it, got some kind of angel investors behind me just supporting, and, you know, it just became very difficult to scale. You know, our model at the time, assuming was affiliate or to try to, you know, get some partner on board. You know, we were looking at Vivino at the time and these apps that were kind of hot. That I think, I don't know, would love to know the usership on those apps these days. I think it's dropped off, but...
I use that app.
Really? Still? Okay.
I still use that app because it works every time. You go in there, you hit that, and it's very good how it works. But how they monetize it, I think they do sales through it as well.
Exactly. They started the whole like wine club, and that was kind of how I started. I was like, the thing in those apps, maybe it's better now, was that there was no search or like, you know, the recommendations were never built on what you actually like. And I would get these emails from Vivino of, here's a big heavy Napa, you know, Cabernet. And I'm like, that's just not at all the wines that I drink. So like, why would they be, you know, it would be great if they actually paired me up with things that it's clear that I like. Right. So,
But the what I like about your story, Terry, is that you're here in the UK working now. But your story to get you to where you are here, and America's very good at being forgiving on stuff, where I think the UK is not. You know, if you've had a failure, well, then you are a failure, and that's clearly not the case. The idea is that we need to fail quicker, so we get better learning quicker with deeper scars that live true, so we don't make that mistake again. And that's really what we should do. And with this company, 1N. Do you own all of it? Is it a share thing? How does that work? Explain for our listeners and viewers how that works.
Yes. So for 1N. So it's currently owned fully by our strategic investor.
Okay.
I'm the founder and key operator here. I have a team as well of 5 people who are helping me run the business, like fully dedicated to the business. And it's operated through what's called a venture studio. So my company, Creative Doc, comes together with a strategic investor and creates this venture building entity, which is, what ultimately, owns 1N as well as some other brands that are coming out to the market. And
what is the model? Is the model to build it up to be market fit ready and out there and earning and churning? Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Is it then sold? Do they sell the business? Is the whole model that you build it up to a certain revenue and then you sell the business?
So it can go kind of in 3 paths, right? Like the death path is always there, right? So we don't need to mention that. We can always kill this thing at some point in time.
Yeah.
We could spin out or spin in is how we describe it. And spin out would be that we sell it or find another strategic investor who somehow wants to partner or invest in this or acquire the company. Mm-hmm. Or we spin it into the strategic investor that has all of the distribution, that can really scale it up to be a global business. Right. We already have, through that path, I have people in MENA region asking me to see the product already. Mm-hmm. So it can be that we scale through the strategic investor, and we, one of their markets is how they call it. So each, country is a market, and they can decide if they want to bring in that brand and scale it and dedicate resources to it or not.
Okay.
So it's actually quite an interesting path. However, we're almost still in that early stage that we're just too small in this machine. It's made for mass products. So we're probably still, 2 years out from that journey.
And see, I would struggle with that in my head because I don't own anything. Because you clearly don't own anything of this. You're just working for the company. So is there going to be a time in your career where you think that you want to be the owner and the total risk taker?
Yes, absolutely. The time is already now. It is part of the discussion to motivate the teams in a different way. So that's part of a very complicated discussion in the background. But yes, no, absolutely.
And could you not own this? Could you not own 1N?
So we're trying to work on that, mechanism. It's always a bit difficult to. It's unfortunate thing about Europe sometimes is that giving people equity without creating a tax liability is extremely difficult. In Germany, as well as even still in Switzerland, so the ESOP, VSOP programs. So it's actually incredibly difficult. So we're looking at, whether it's revenue share or some other lever, if you will, that can incentivize me in a way that's,
Yeah. Because I've always looked at it that I find business very simple, and I've had partners in the past, and now, Terry, we don't have any partners.
Yeah.
The buck stops with me, the finance comes to me, but I'm a lot older and deeper into it with the resources to be able to do that. And I do understand, right at where you are, you need facilitation, and that facilitation is difficult to have when there's nothing of gravitas to leverage the facilitation to. But I still think the podcast is called Entrepreneur Conversations, and we're really. I've seen lots of incubation done with big money coming in, but the sweat equity for the owners or the founders always seems to be diminished by that overarching powerhouse of money at the top, and that worries me sometimes. Do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the challenge as well to the thesis, to the model of venture building, right? Is that when you give complete ownership to a team of 2 in a garage somewhere, that that's what keeps you answering emails at 2 a.m. on a Sunday when things aren't working, right? And that, the incentives for essentially an employee, don't always, align.
Because I think the balance between the sweat equity and employment is blurred, because I think they just naturally get blurred because where's the incentive? that we're doing this, and what is the down the road outcome of what it is. Now, I do it here with my teams, is that we work on incentive through culture. So the staff don't own any shares, I own all the shares, but my managing directors will get constantly very looked after. They're not on sales revenue shares. Well, I don't do it that way.
Yeah.
I believe that you build the gardener to the kitchen staff, everybody's working towards here at the hotel that we make it work for everybody. And what we're making it work for everybody is that everybody has very good salary, very good holiday opportunities, medical for the top team, and cars where necessary for electric cars, EVs that we can give out. And I think that way that you end up with what you were speaking off air earlier, that you're finding those. We're very good, and you were saying earlier, you're very good at setting things up. But whether you are very good at finishing them, I'm definitely not. I'm not good at doing that. I'm great at having the leadership with an idea and a fabulous format, but to have the number twos that can finish off, I think they're so integral to making business work, and the studiousness and the staying power and the regular turning up and doing the trudgery of actually making the business earn and churn, they are gold. Whether you have to look at how you reward them, and I hear lots of different ways of doing it. We've spoke about it before, Ollie, where I do for management here. If you're a managing director, you have unlimited paid holiday. Well, it seems like, how can that work? But they don't take the holiday. They take what they need and what they don't, because they're responsible for their positions. And what would you do with bringing this to market? What is the market strategy? How are you going to do that? Is it socials? How's that going to work? Yeah,
so we will be, selling this product D2C, so also on instant delivery platforms. So the same day, GoPuff, and we'll be on Just App, as well as select stores in Shoreditch. We have right now our pop-up through this month, which that aim is to kind of activate people who are interested in using nicotine in a different way. So we're using that to invite influencers, kind of start the conversation around biohacking, nootropics, how to boost your cognition. So really in this space that we've designed, fit for biohackers.
And will you use a Shopify? Will you do that?
Yeah, we're on Shopify. So
Okay. Because I think with my dyslexia and stuff like that, I shop on Instagram. I just love Instagram.
Yeah.
It's so easy. It comes up. It feeds me stuff that I'm interested in. I look at it, check some of the comments, this, that, and the other. I press one button. I click at the phone, and a product turns up. I mean,
amazing,
it's
right?
so easy.
It is.
It's so easy. And anything's wrong, it goes back, and they're fine. And they're very good to clear it up if there is a problem. I've had no problem with that at all. So I'm definitely in. As someone in their 60s, I embrace that, and I think that there's more people will do that more and more. And I think that is definitely. Will you do paid ads as well? Interestingly,
primarily no. You can't. There's strong regulations on promoting tobacco.
Okay.
There's actually, we're a bit of a gray area, but for our self standards, we're not doing a lot of paid ads. You can't, promote nicotine products on. And Instagram or Facebook.
Have you got to be careful what the influencers say and stuff like that? Have you got there is restrictions on it?
Yes. So there's restrictions on that. Of course, if someone comes and just on their own volition posts things, but
because a friend here, Terry, was doing lion's mane, and they were growing it locally and doing it, and they got shut down. That something was said on one of the posts and stuff, and they just took it off.
Exactly.
I mean, it just collapsed the business overnight.
It is.
It's scary.
That's the difficult part of these regulated spaces. It's you have already, enough to figure out launching a product. Do people like it? But then you have, this whole other layer of, rules that you can't, run afoul of, rightfully so. Otherwise, you do get fined or shut down. And
then, so this is what you're currently working on now. Is there anything else up your sleeve that you're into? Can you talk about this?
No, I mean, currently this is taking, really 100% of, 120% of my time and energy.
Right.
Although I do say if I wasn't on this idea, I would be looking in the beverage space. So the non-alcoholic, low sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening now in the UK already. You have these brands like Trip, Hip Hop, Some of those things are not actually in Germany, for example. It's just starting. But it's a massive category in the US, and I really see the same consumer behavior and need here.
Here at the wedding menu, we stock all the non-alcoholics. I mean, we have to, and they are, they are. I don't know. They're probably 15% of our sales.
Really? Okay. Just like
on a bar. Yeah,
and probably growing. I'm sure. It's like,
I mean, and I talked to some people that we know. Of younger age, people aren't drinking.
Right.
They're just not doing it. It's just not becoming the thing that's that trendy to be, out of control and what it used to be. So I think that is a space that is definitely. I've been drinking non-alcoholic Guinness.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there is not a lot of difference.
Really, that's
so lovely. The guy was explaining it to me that there's two ways of doing it. You can do it where you brew it as normal and then you take the alcohol out, but that's expensive.
Yeah.
And the other way is through artificially doing it. And he said that way, Guinness, obviously it's Guinness, they're huge. They put so much effort into it. It's very difficult to tell the difference. If you put 2 pints of beer, they all froth up the same. They look the same.
Wow, that's
the non-alcoholic one is slightly lighter in colour, and that's it. And that's the only way you can really tell. But it is unbelievable. I don't really drink much, and that really was a game changer for me. If I wanted to be with the guys in the pub, you could do with that and not be standing there with the glass of water, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or like
it was cool. Yeah.
This 20-pound mocktail that you're like, it's just juice.
I mean, I'm going to ask it now, Terry. I mean, is it? I mean, the whole female thing in entrepreneurship and stuff here. We run the dinner here every month. We have an entrepreneur dinner here. We've run it for 5 years. This is year 5. I think we've been doing it. It's very poor on females in there. Not because they're not invited. It's just we are struggle to find them.
Yeah.
You've got to be turn over £2 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And own your company, and then you get an invite to the dinner, or whatever it is. And I think you get, out of say 80 people, there might be 9 ladies in the room. And I think that's poor, and that's why I want to promote more with the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
I was speaking to someone down in Melbourne, and they were saying, no, 40% in an entrepreneur's circle or something like that are down there. 40% would be women. Very different in Australia.
Yeah,
I mean, how do you find it? Do you even find it as a thing, or is it not a thing? Explain that. We're making a noise out of something that doesn't exist, or do you think it does exist?
I mean, it definitely does exist, right? I mean, if we look at even just something like the percentage of funding going towards women founders, it's pales in comparison what's
really
going at least in in the German ecosystem. I'm sure it's quite similar in the UK. I mean, it's similar in the US as well. So there is still a barrier, I think, certainly, again, just something as simple as like the funding distribution. And there is a real, it depends, like it is changing. Like when I started in my career, like my first station as CEO at a very young age, I definitely was getting some funny looks and like,
really?
A lot of people questioning, that duality of young and being a woman. And it's like, woo, like there's always a funny thing. You're either, as a woman in business, too young, and then you're suddenly like too old in a way that is, interesting in terms of perceptions.
I mean, is it just an archaic way of thinking, or is there any gravitas to it? Because all of my managing directors are women.
Yeah.
All of them. I think they have. This is what I think. I think they have more to prove. They're very conscientious.
Yeah.
They will not have that extra drink because they've got to be at the conference in the morning, where the guy, I believe, will just get, sod it, will just get up with a hangover and turn up.
Yeah.
And I think there's all of that going on. I think they're more considered with their decisions. They kind of run it a lot longer in their heads. And I'm doing this generically, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
But that's from my experience. I feel a lot safer set of hands. But at the same time, I've met some great people.
Yeah.
And am I doing it because they're women, or am I doing it because they're just great people?
Right.
And I think there's a blurred line there somewhere.
Totally.
That, is it still this archaic way of thinking? I don't really know the answers to that.
I know. I mean, it's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
It is definitely a mixed bag. And then there's extremely open-minded, men and women And then there's certainly, still a segment of kind of that old school mentality of, a leader is a man, or just kind of, you show up and you're like, oh, are you the marketing assistant? But
I don't think it has a lot of room. I think that the next few years, that is going to change because, and that type of thinking isn't innovated enough. It's not looking into the future to who we actually need to marshal the businesses, come up with the ideas, stewardship for running the companies. I think that has to be done in a way of great people, whether they're male or female. But from my experience, I have been more comfortable when it has been a female running the companies for me. They definitely have more. There's an intuition and witchcraft inside a woman that I don't think is in a man. But would you agree? There's a kind of something goes on there.
Yeah, there is definitely. I mean, it's actually kind of getting to one of the books I've read recently, which is The Source by Dr. Tara Swart. And she's really looking into kind of like the neuroscience of, manifestation, visualization, as well as intuition. And that, we commonly rely on 5 senses, but there's actually 34 different senses that we have. And, growing research behind like your intuition isn't just, a random feeling, that you're actually intuiting and piecing together things that you're experiencing or absorbing on a subconscious level. And that's, your body's way of signaling those hairs standing up, those goosebumps of like, you're in that like, ooh, I'm, imagine I've had this happen. I'm in a meeting and everyone's saying things that just click together, and like, you get that feeling of like we're headed in the right direction there. So, and, as women, I think we're culturally, encouraged to be very in touch with ourselves, our intuition, our, the interoception. So like feeling feelings in our body, and men are a little bit less encouraged. I mean, a lot less encouraged for that. So I think there's, certainly a basis to say that women, on whole, are more in touch with their intuition and how they feel about things. And, I think we're getting there in terms of that common knowledge of like, there is actual value to that. And it's, just, up there with logic in terms of making a decision.
But I think a lot, there's that mixed in with the neurodiverse community that take information in and use it in a different way. Yeah. I talk about with my dyslexia, and I'm very dyslexic. An idea will come in, or a suggestion, and I will exhaustedly, it knackers me out having to think, because I can only think in a whole. Yeah. And that is the idea good for today? What will it look like in 10 years? How will we get from here to there? Yeah. Who will we actually do it? And I exhaustedly go through that whole process to be able to make a decision to say, am I going to spend any more time on this or not? Because I don't think that will work in the future, or whatever it might be. Or will we be able to sell that company, whatever it might be. I really think the great book is Blink from Malcolm Gladwell. Oh, yeah. And that's a great book because he talks about that first perceptions. Don't ever ignore them. They are what they are because they are survival mechanisms to say, no, I think the tiger is going to jump out the woods and eat me, whatever it might be. But that's a great book. I invite you to have a look over my shoulder at my newsletter. If you want to hear about the things that grab my attention each week that could bring you value, sign up in the episode description. Now, back to the pod. Oliver, I've been away. We've not been together. Come on. We've had a few texts with one another. That's it. You've lost a load of weight. You can't see him because he's not on camera, but he's lost a load of weight.
I missed you.
You missed me.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you, mate. Listen, what? Are you in the house or not?
What, the
new house?
No, I'm not.
Don't mention the house?
No, it's not good.
Don't mention the house?
No, well, no movement.
Oh. Do you want me to interfere and scream down the phone at someone?
That's the issue. The issue is we really want the house.
Right.
Like, if we didn't want the house, or if we didn't want it so much, it'd be a bit easier.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's not even anything close to it, like on the market in the area we're looking for. So we're just waiting for him to get out, basically.
Okay, all right. There you go. For another day.
Yep.
Right, we are doing tombola time.
Yes, we are. We are doing.
Very expensive piece of
Love this.
It's tombola time.
It just makes me giggle every time you play it. Right, so I'm gonna whiz it along. You're gonna pick a ball out. How many of these are we doing?
3.
Three. Right, here we go. Tombola time. Terry, this is all very, very UK crazy.
I know. I actually had to, look up what tombola is. I was like, oh.
What it actually is. Well, it actually isn't. This is a blend. It's meant to be bits of paper in there, but we put balls in instead. Right, what have you got?
20.
So question 20, just pop it
question
in there.
Question 20. How do you test ideas before fully committing?
Oh, how do you do that?
Excellent question. It really, of course, it depends on what we're testing there. If we're luckily in this realm where we are with AI and tools like Lovable, if you are trying to just spin up a website and if it's something you can test in that way. So I just try to get some sort of product out there or some representation of the product and test it, whether that means putting ad dollars behind it, whether that means, if your target market is wine drinkers, going to a wine bar and going up to people and asking them what they think, kind of this old school way of, our fancy word of validation in this industry is just, what do people think of this idea? And, I think certainly in the US, we're quite good at just getting something out there, even, this old saying, if people don't call your idea ugly at the first go, you waited and took way too long to get it out there. So, whether that's, again, mocking up 10 slides to go and show someone or a landing page or, if it is possible for you to, in your kitchen, bang together this version of a drink or a hot sauce or whatever it is, just trying to get to that first version and, getting feedback on it, again, whether that's in a larger scale online or just the old school way.
Online does make it easier, doesn't it? Because you can hit a lot of consumers if you use a platform that's got. But I think, Ollie, that's a good question. You just ask it one more time, so we just got it back in there.
How do you test ideas before fully committing?
I think, Terry, that it is waiting lists.
Yeah. Creating
a waiting list for something that's coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And create some type of tension. If we're doing a product. We're doing an online learning product, say for instance, we will put that out there as that you can now get on the waiting list. And to do that, we're going to give you this free. And it might be a webinar, to join a webinar, whatever. But we'll spider some information from them, an email or whatever, a name, and then that will allow us to see, we're not getting any take on this at all, or we're inundated with stuff. And it's the same with price point. I think price point is so important, and testing that to seeing what picks up and what doesn't. And sometimes it might be that you're too cheap.
Yes,
and you need to put the price up. So I think those things, Ollie, are something that definitely has to be pre-organised, but waiting lists would be my answer on it. Should we do another one? Here we go. Right. Okay, Terry. Tombola time. Okay. Right. Put your hand in there, Terry. Go for it.
All right. Just 2. I'm on a
question 2, Ollie.
How do you define success for yourself?
Have we had this before? I don't know. How would you do that? How do you think? What do you think about that? Or how do you feel about that? How do you feel about success? Do you feel successful?
I mean, the short answer is no, not yet. But I'm redefining. I know it probably sounds cliche, but redefining what success looks like, because I think success can be
different things to different people.
It is, and actually, living in Berlin challenged a lot of that, because in the US, success means money and, these very hard metrics. Yeah. And there, I remember the first week went out to dinner with some friends, all in the startup world. So you think it's going to be the usual, and I did what do you do? And I got told, we don't ask this question in Berlin. It's
really?
Wow. You do not go someplace. It's all about who you are outside of the office is actually the most. I mean, of course you can make those connections, but who you are outside of the office is important. And definitely over the years living there have lean into that, as well as I think the age that I am as well.
Very different way of carrying on. Isn't
it is, yeah. And so I'm, trying to look at that, in a more holistic way, because if I'm successful in business but I'm not healthy, or my relationships are fraying,
right,
I've paid the price in that, so it's definitely success for me going forward is a lot different than I would have described it, in my 20s, which would be, I want this title or that amount of money, or to, exit this business. But, those are all great. But again, if it comes at such a large human cost,
but Terry, I think the real truth of it is, and I have spoke about this on some reels, but I think as an entrepreneur, a real entrepreneur, with all the buck stopping with you personally, I think it's very difficult to have that whole success at home, success at work sort of balance. I think it's tough.
It is. Yeah.
I'm very sceptical if someone tells me they've got that down, because I'm awful at it. I'm 2 marriages in and stuff like that. I am not good at that. I've just my whole thing is out of balance with what my home life should be to what my work life is, and I think that way I don't consider myself successful. I consider myself in the middle of my career, because that's how I want to feel. I want to feel that there's more to do.
Yeah.
But I think I think, Ollie, that question is where do you frame it? Are you framing it at work, or are you framing it as the individual all round? I don't know.
Well, I guess you could take it either way.
Yeah.
I think you could be successful in some areas of your life and not successful in other areas.
See, I think the postman is successful because he can take his child to school, do his postal round, and pick his child up. Yeah. Because he's got the freedom, as long as he gets all the letters put in the post box. So you could call him having a successful job. He's very successful.
I think the postie job is so underrated.
Yeah, right? And he's getting exercise, so he's using his job as a gym as well.
Exactly.
And he's respected by the local community because they all recognise him as the guy that delivers. So the postman is a roaring success. If you frame it in that way. Yeah. I think the hardest thing with entrepreneurs is satisfaction. Are they ever satisfied? Is it about the money? Is it about the chase? Yeah. Is it about the kudos stuff? I've sort of gone through all the kudos thing. I couldn't give a monkey's what people think, but a lot of the time we are worried about what our family, our local community think of us. I think I think the question could open up a bit more of a debate than an answer. Mm-hmm. That makes sense? Yeah. Right, let's do one more on here. Okay. Come on, get these balls going. Come on, Oliver. Are we getting a jingle or not?
Oh, sorry.
Come on.
Look at that.
Can't do it without the music.
Right, here we go. I think I'm just going to spin them so long that the numbers are wear off the balls. Right, go, Terry, in we go. What have we got?
15.
Number 15. Question 15, Ollie. What have we got?
How do you decide what not to work on?
Well, it'd be products for you, wouldn't it? Things that you don't think are going to fly, I suppose.
Yes. So.
I suppose you could look at this in a couple of different ways. I think you could look at this on what to commit on as like a business venture, but then also day to day, what do you decide to give to other people to do? Yeah. Like how do you define what is a job worth your attention?
Mm.
Well, I'll take it to start with. I'll take this one on because I think that the whole way of framing what a leader, an entrepreneur, a founder is, they are a steward to the company. And they need to, as soon as they possibly can, and that won't be right at the beginning, but as soon as they possibly can, they need to get out of the company. So you then have a company that works without you in it. I mean, that's a crucial thing. So if you're ever going to sell that company, you don't have to go with it. So that will be about what is my main task day to day, Terry. My main task is finding great employees. So, recruitment is one of the main things that I'm always looking at wherever I can for, and even if I find someone that's great at something, we haven't even got a job for them, we'll probably employ them because we'll make a job for them because they're great. And the next thing will be innovation, products and ideas. Where are they? What's over the hill? What's the new stuff that's going on? And then creating great culture in the companies. The culture I think that not enough people, but people talk about, I've got a load of employees. I haven't. I've got a load of very good, talented friends that work with me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's all to do with language, how you frame what you're doing at work and why you do your stuff at work. And I think for me, what I do day to day is the bigger tasks that I wouldn't expect the team to take the time, effort, or risk sometimes to do. Mm. Just ask the question one more time, so we just got it framed right. Sorry.
How do you decide what not to work on?
So what would you think from your side, Terry? How would you frame that for you? Is there stuff that you feel is beneath your skill set that you'd give to others?
I mean, on a day-to-day basis, I mean, I don't know if it's so much about below the skill set, but you can't be, down in the weeds and strategically operating the business at, the same time. Of course, that works for a while when it's a one-person, two-person show. But at some point, it's impossible to be everywhere all of the time. And at that point, you have to delegate. And, easier said than done, particularly on areas that you might like as an entrepreneur, like me and product. It's hard to not be excited about that and not get into the details, but you just can't, so I think if it's
I think you're right. I think the thing that he always went on about was Richard Branson, and he was just the best delegator ever. That was his superpower. He delegated partners to come in and take the heavy lifting, people to run the companies, and he really didn't do anything. He was just a super delegator. But he was very good at picking the right people to do it. I think that's an important part of an entrepreneur journey, or a leader, is hiring the right people, surrounding yourself with the right people. And, there is a tendency to, for some people to hire in a comfort zone. And, I've had mentors and people have shown me that way of hiring people who are better than you at certain things. And not everyone has that humility. And sometimes it can be confronting as an entrepreneur. Someone comes in and wants to take it in a direction, and that can be scary at times, but it's really critical to get people on board who you trust and you can delegate to. And in the best case, you're like freed up of this day to day, and before you know it, I mean, this happened to me in the last 6 months. Really, is I went from being in the weeds doing the heavy lifting of so many things to now I have more people, and I was like, what am I going to do with my time? And before I know it, I'm busy with 1,000 other things. And it's more strategic things with, our investors, with our partners, doing things like this even, which I wouldn't have time for if I didn't have a team. I think that is true. I think the delegation skills as an entrepreneur is crucial, and the willingness to delegate. That's what you were alluding to there, weren't you? Actually, that's what you were saying, is have you got the balls to give that role or that up to somebody else to do it? Bringing specialists in that are a lot more qualified than you are in a position, say ops manager or something like that, and they clearly say to you, that don't work the way you're doing it. We need to do it this way. Well, that might be hard for you to chew that because you've already always done it that way.
Exactly,
and it kind of works. But to him to turn the corner for you, or her to turn the corner for you, is I think that's a skill, to be able to allow those people to do it. I'll throw shiny ideas in our team meetings here, and not a lot of them get through. By the time they've digested them, the team, and gone through and show me the wheres and wherefores that they can't be done, or we blend it out to something else. And I think that is... I think it comes with time and experience. Don't you think? You need a bit of scars on you to be able to make those right calls.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Ollie, have we exhausted that for you?
Yes, we have. Shall we go on to what are we reading?
Yeah. Do you want this off the table?
I like to leave that on there.
Yeah, you sure? Yeah. Okay. So,
what are we reading?
It almost makes us sound like a professional podcast, kinda, but almost. Not really.
Yeah, almost.
You like it though, don't you?
I love it.
Yeah, I do like it. I like it. Are you a good reader, listener? What do you do?
Both.
Do you margin write? Do you write in your books?
I do, yes. Or like earmark, as though I'm going to go back, and I rarely do, but it helps. It helps me absorb things for sure.
But I think by earmarking anyway, at least your attention was there to do it, and it does go in a bit more.
It counts for
whatever it
something,
takes.
Right? Yeah, no, I love it, and particularly as screen time is taking over our lives. I've set it as an intention last year to spend more of my time reading or listening to books or podcasts, whatever it is that sparks my interest, rather than reaching for that phone, getting that quick dopamine hit.
And what's your latest thing? What have you been actually reading?
Yes, so I got back from the vacation reads in Australia. I was trying to keep that in the nonfiction realm, but a book I'm really excited about was The Source by Dr. Tara Swart.
Okay.
And getting into the neuroscience behind manifestation, visualization, as well as intuition. So,
And do you use that day to day? Do you use manifestation?
I'm implementing it. So it's new for me, actually. It's been a journey. Yeah, I would say I saw Dr. Tara Swart at Health earlier this year. It's been October or September. And she was speaking, and they were talking about manifestation. And, she said this exact thing of when I first heard about it, it just all felt very woo. I'm a doctor. I need it to add up. And I'm like, yes, this resonates with me. And it just I wasn't planning actually to attend this panel, and I just got kind of sucked into that.
And have you, Terry, have you got it down? Have you tried it?
Yeah.
And has it worked?
Let's check back in 12 months. So
no, you can do no. You can do this in a week.
Yeah, no, I know.
Just go for small stuff.
Yeah.
Go for parking spaces.
Exactly.
I know, and people listening, please, and watching, it feels, I've been doing this for 25 years.
Oh, really? Good on you, yeah.
Everything I own is because of it.
Wow.
Absolutely, 150% do it every day. Done it this morning.
Really?
Speak to the sky. I speak to the sky every morning. Hello, universe. How's it all going on? I'm doing this. I've got a big week on. Need you to hold my hand. I'm looking to do this.
Okay.
And then I will quietly sit down and see. I'm being specific about this week. I will see me with the things, with that done, successfully organised, finished, and done. Then I'll come all the way back and go. Off we go again. But you actually need to have gone there.
Yeah, in this and feel the moment.
You actually go there, who you're with, what you're doing, and the nicotine stuff comes. It's all good stuff. It's all gone out. We need 4 more pallets. You need to feel that has actually happened.
Yeah,
it comes in, and the energy burst back out to the universe to do it. You can voodoo, criticise, whatever it is. I just know through my older years, it has worked time on time on time. It can be helped with writing, if you want to write them down. It can help with visualisation, with mood boards. You can do whatever you want to do. Yeah. But and there's no wrong or right way. You do it whichever way you want to do it. But it definitely works. So just do the book again, Terry, for everybody, because we'll put it up on the screen as well.
So it's The Source by Dr. Tara Swart. Okay.
Well, we'll look at that, because I've never read that. I'd like to look at that. Acquired, again. And the reason I've been doing Acquired more, because they're 4 or 5 hours long, some of these things. You must listen, they're really good.
Yeah, I will.
Good couple of guys. They go into a lot of detail. Obviously, I don't read because of the dyslexia, but it allows me to do 2 things at once. So I can be driving and listening. So everything's really on listening. And I've just finished the Coca-Cola. And what did I call the other one? What's it called? Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's is great. Trader Joe's, you just want to go to the store. I've never been to a Trader Joe's. I'm desperate to.
It's so good,
when I'm now in the US, I'm going to it. It's only in the US. They haven't even taken it out of the US. It's such a good read, or listen, sorry. It's such a good listen. And they go into so much detail and background information. It is really good. And I've been reading Rocket Fuel again.
Oh.
Yeah, Rocket Fuel is a good book. So put that up again, because it's worth putting it up. I know we mentioned it in our Christmas. Did we mention Rocket Fuel in our Christmas? No. Did we?
I think a few people have brought it up.
Have they? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rocket Fuel is a very good book. It talks about number 2s as well in it, that see the deal through.
Okay.
See the company through after the ideas. It was a very good book.
Oh, I'll have to
very
read
good
that.
book. Terry, we've gone from your childhood right the way through to the US to Shoreditch, but I just want to say thank you for coming out to Baddow Park and seeing us and spending time. I've enjoyed the conversation. Very different conversation. Products is very interesting.
Yes.
I've really enjoyed it. And if people want to find out more about 1N or find out about you, how do they find us? Sell it to us, baby. Tell us.
So you can find us on Instagram. 1nlabs.com is our website. And me, Terry Seal. Fortunately, not too many of me out there. You can find me as well.
Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, LinkedIn, Instagram, and again, 1nlabs.com.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
If you've enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, leave a comment. There's someone you know that could gain something from what we do here. Pass the pod. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you on the next one.